My name is Huib Schoots, and today I want to talk about how to not waste time. There are many, many ways to waste time in software development or specifically in testing. This presentation is to inspire you to start looking for waste in your work and get rid of it. So not knowing what valuable is one of the most important problems that I see. There's no common understanding. There's no true or deep understanding of the product that we're testing. So what is important and where are the risks? And not knowing that will end up in testing unimportant stuff or even the wrong stuff. So start asking questions, because I see many testers sit in refinements, making notes and listening, but not actively participating, or sometimes even they're not invited. So get your ass in that meeting and start asking questions. Do risk analysis, do a thorough risk analysis. Talk about where do you think problems might occur and map them, model them. So it prevents you from testing the wrong things. And keeping an overview of the product, like a mind map or a couple of diagrams or even a list, might help you talk about the things that you think are important. Talk to the product owner, the business analyst, the end users, like, hey, this is my overview. What do you think? And report about it. And with reporting, I don't mean writing a report, but talking about your overview and say, hey, I have been working on this risk analysis or model of the product, and can you have a look at it? Can we discuss it? Collecting feedback. And of course, if you test stuff and you find bugs and nobody will care, so nobody's fixing the bugs you're logged, then you're testing the wrong parts of the product. So talk about why bugs aren't fixed and find out. Creating insight in the product is one, but creating insight in the testing you're planning to do is also very important. So create a test strategy. And for me, a test strategy is a model, a mental model of the things that you want to test. It's what you want to test and how you want to test it. It's the model that guides your testing. And it gives you missions for testing. So think about, why am I testing this? Is this important, or is this risky, or do we want to make sure that it works? And what aspects of the product are important here, and how am I going to test them? So you can prevent stuff from being tested twice, like in unit test, and then you test it in the while testing the user story, and maybe even the users tested in the acceptance test. So it's tested 3 times, or testing stuff on the wrong level. And with that, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the testing pyramid, but it gives you some insight that the base of the pyramid is the biggest part. So make your testing, discuss your testing with developers, and make sure that you can do testing on the lowest level possible. If you can do stuff via the API, test it via the API, enter your data via the API if possible, and also discuss testability. I think it's the magic word in modern testing. It's testability, and people don't talk about testability a lot. So ask for testability, discuss testability with your team, with your developers. How can I make my testing easier by adding logging, or making getting help by collecting data to do testing, stuff like that. Talk about how testing is done and how you can make it faster and easier. Testers almost always test too much, and that's how we think. We're risk averse. We really want to make sure that we find all the important problems. But are you doing too much? Talk about your testing with your product owner, or your business analyst, or management. And I have an awesome story about a tester that needed to do regression testing, and she made a plan for it and some test cases, and she created an overview, and then she started talking to the product manager And the product manager said, well, wait, this is way too much. If you can skip these parts and maybe you can do a little bit less there. And she cut her work down from 3 to 1 week. And that is because we as testers don't have often have insight in what's really important to the business. So start talking about it. Do you have too many variants of your test cases, or are you over engineering your testing to writing down all the steps in detail, collecting all the information because just in case you just get sick and other people need to take over your work, or if you find some problem in 6 months in production and then you want to prove that you have tested it? Well, those situations don't occur very often, do they? So do you seriously want to over engineer testing? What do you actually need to do good testing? And we talked about risk analysis and prioritization in an earlier stage. So do it, talk about it, make sure that you know what's important and what might be problematic. Testing is all about learning. So make sure that your learning is effective. And I see a lot of ineffective learning where people just keep on running all day and then just keep doing stuff instead of just slowing yourself down and do a wrap up of your work. After a half day of testing, just sit back, look at your notes, look at your test cases, look at the things you wrote down. And hey, do I fully understand? Am I done? Or do a debrief with somebody else. Talk about the work. So it's sharing information, but also you might have some feedback on your work. And that's the next one. Get feedback often. So if you're writing a document, just go to somebody and say, hey, can you look at it? And am I on the wrong track? Don't wait until you're done. Do retrospect a lot. Do reflect a lot. Just now and then, each week, each month, each sprint, each year, take time to think about what am I doing and what can I learn? Talk with other testers, talk with other teams. How are you doing your work? Ask for help on a regular basis. If you ask for help, people tend to be willing to help you. But I see a lot of people are afraid to ask for help, or think that my colleagues are so busy, I don't want to disturb them. I will find out myself, and then you're wasting time. Share your knowledge. Ask other people to share their knowledge. Don't test shitty software. Stuff that doesn't work at all or is bad. It's full of bugs. Logging bugs will take a lot of time. It will take valuable time away from you covering the product. So insist that developers do good unit tests. Insist that you get working environments with the right data and the right connections. Don't do all the thinking yourself. Your brain is overloaded with the complexity of your product and doing the right testing itself already. So start using heuristics to help your brain think of the right stuff. Start using checklists so that you can just check off, like, what am I doing? Where am I in the process? It really helps. Also, pair with other people, or maybe do some work with your whole team at the same time. If it's testing, it's called ensemble testing. Instead of wasting time, you'll probably learn a lot. And be picky on what you do together, and make sure that you learn to effectively work together. But pairing and ensemble testing is really powerful because it helps you. You get direct feedback. The creativity together will be mind-blowing. Also, collaborate with other peoples and talk about your thinking. Make visualizations. I can't do a serious talk without standing in front of a whiteboard drawing all the time. So I really want to talk about what I think, what my ideas are, and get feedback on that. There's many ways that you can do bad testing by writing test cases all the time. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but writing test cases all the time, that's only one way of structuring your work. Or writing test cases you will never use. I worked for a client where they had a complete test set of automated checks they will never run. It's such a waste. Learn how to take good notes. Learn how to not test via the GUI. Have some technical skills that you can use APIs or talk to your developers about putting some checks that you want to do in the unit test. Make sure your test data is sufficient. Don't just say that it's okay to have one variation of something that you want to do 3 or 4 experiments with, because so you have to reset your data all the time. Stop using all your old work to create new stuff. It's not for nothing that it's old. Often just throwing it away and starting all over again will have you get fresh ideas. Don't write reports that nobody will read. Talk to people, and while talking to them, you'll find out what information they want to hear from you. So it's far more effective to talk about it. Using the right wrong environments is of course a waste. Spending a lot of time estimating. I think testing is really hard to estimate. So don't spend too much time on it. Don't try to be exact, because you will never be exact. You don't know what you will encounter. Make sure that you don't spend too much time on finding why is something a bug. Find help and do the analysis together. Of course, you need to spend some time, but don't overdo it. Also, spend a bit more time on creating a decent bug report so that the people you send it to actually know what you're meaning and you're done wasting their time. Get rid of stuff you don't use. I know it's really hard and you spend a lot of time on it, but hey, you're not using it again. Get rid of it. And stop making all kinds of documentation and screen prints to prove that what you've done. That's called ass coverage. Spend your time testing and creating product coverage. Bad automation is also a thing. Don't try to automate everything. You can't. Stop writing brittle automation. And if you're in a situation where you have brittle automation, go fix it. Find people that can help you so that you don't have to rerun tests or that they're failing all the time because of just minor details. If you're a skilled programmer, awesome, do it. But if you're an unskilled person, maybe you shouldn't do that work, or you should get some help or guidance or coaching to get better at it. Look at the tools you're using. Are you using them because your company makes you use them, or are you using them because they actually help you? Also, mocking too much or too little can be a problem. Automating the wrong things just because you can, or automation that's not part of your daily routine. With that, I mean, if you have automated checks, run them daily and check the outcomes. And if you're not doing that, or they're not part of a pipeline, why do you have them in the first place? And then brain waste. Your brain is the most precious tool you have. Take care of it. Don't get interrupted. Focus. Make sure that you get into the flow. Don't test if you're just tired or you're distracted by things that are happening in your life. Make sure you're in the right mental state and get enough rest. Rest really, our brain really need rest. And meetings, we have a lot of meetings, unnecessary meetings, meetings with no goals, meetings with just the wrong people or too many people, people coming in unprepared, poor facilitation, or we're starting late, or we don't take any decisions or actions. Stop doing bad meetings. So what are the solutions? Well, just turn it around. Know what is risky and valuable. Create a test strategy. Stop testing too much. Discuss what you're actually testing and what's important. Create a culture of learning. Collaborate. Learn how to test effectively. Learn how to do good automation, and get some experts helping you get off the hamster wheel and get some rest. It's all about testability. So, some tips on testability: go find this book by Ash Winter and Rob Meany, Team Guide to Software Testability, or find the Heuristic for Software Testability by James Bach. They will help you create insight in how to do effective testing, how to improve your testability. Okay, stop wasting time. Thank you.